Good morning. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. We are really glad that you're here on this beautiful Sunday morning. My name is Reverend Clyde Goings, and I am going to be doing the announcements today. And we have Reverend Sue that's going to be doing our invocations this morning. So we welcome you all to this beautiful service, and we're having Dining with the Dudes today, so you guys can have some good food after service. So get fed by Reverend Karen, and then get fed by the dudes. All right. So we come together every Sunday to remember our truth, that we're whole, perfect, and complete just the way we are, that we are showing up and sharing our gifts and our talents because we are God expressing. And so one of the ways that we do that is that we also are giving back to our community. And Nancy is our leader for the Projects of Love program that we have. And I wanted to invite her up here really quick so she can give you a announcement of a new program that we're doing.
I love the really quick thing.
I said it to her 5 times.
With the holidays coming, we're going to be working with an organization called HART, which is for helping at-risk teens. And what they are doing this Christmas, collecting Vanna over here is showing us, the closable, insulated water containers for the kids in the high schools so they can put them in their backpack. So they need to be small enough and slim enough. I understand, because I don't have kids that age anymore, but I understand that most backpacks have a little place they can slip the water container in. So that's what those are for. They want 200 altogether, so they're working with several organizations. So I'm going to be putting these out with all the directions, and Veronica is fixing a box for us. I thought hopefully she would be here this morning with it, but we'll have a box for you to put them in. And we have to have them here by December 4th because I have to turn them in by December 5th because they are Christmas presents for the kids. So please put them here. We'll have a box for you to put them in. And I was going to say this very quickly, I found one at Target, and I understand that Fry's have them very, very cheaply, very nice ones. So enjoy and come and bring them to us, and we can make a nice Christmas for those kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. That is a way that we continue to give back to our community. So speaking of Christmas, since Nancy opened up the door, we are going to be doing our Christmas decorations on December the 4th after service. So we thought that it would be great that since people are already here, that we would start decorating. So we're not going to do a whole bunch of decorations, but we do want to spruce it up for the holidays. So if you're here on Sunday, please plan to stay and play with us for an hour or two to get this place decorated for Christmas. So that's coming up on December 4th. Information about that is in the bulletin, and we also have some also a slideshow, a slide for that information as well. All right, so I'm sorry. Who's bringing the pizza? All right, I don't have an answer for that. Okay, I got to get control of this audience again. All right, so anyway, please join us on that December 4th, which is a Sunday. So now I want to talk to you about our Seeding the Future program again. So again, it's our Seeding the Future program is running all month this month, and our theme this year is unearthing our treasures. And I feel like we're sprouting seeds all the time in our community. We continue to evolve with life and grow spiritually. Our community treasures are each one of you. And you not only bring love and light to our community, but you're also bringing that love and light out into the world. So together, we are changing the world. Each one of us has a unique gift and a unique talent that we are bringing into the world. So we come together every Sunday to remember our truth, to be inspired, and to live consciously. We use our spiritual principles to learn we use our spiritual principles that we learn during service or our classes that we take or even our workshops to unearth our personal treasures. So your financial pledge is seeding our future, and we ask for your continued support by completing a pledge card. Our goal this year is to collect 40 pledge cards with a pledge amount of $80,000 or more. So our pledge amount will help us budget and plan for 2023. We are looking to the future, and our community continues to thrive. We are settling into a new way of Sunday service, both in person and online, and we continue to grow with the number of people showing up in service, and it's wonderful. I see several new people here, and I welcome you guys. This message is not so much for you, but it's for everybody else, but you are welcome to join our community in seeding our future. Where did I lost my train of thought. Oh, I wanted to share just a quick funny story with you. So Reverend Karen and I were talking a couple months ago about, our plans, and so bringing back the programs, and we've been slowly bringing back all the programs. And so the plan was to bring back a few programs this year, and then in 2023, we're going to be full steam ahead, and we're just going to open up the gates, and we're going to be just thriving and doing all kinds of great things. Well, her and I met a couple weeks ago, and I said, what happened to slowing down and waiting to 2023? She said, too late, it's already started. So I can feel the love in our community and the energy, and we can't slow down life. So we are God expressing, and West Valley Center for Spiritual Living is expressing life. So I'm proud to be part of this community. Individually and collectively, we continue to evolve spiritually. We are the spiritual lighthouse on the west side, and we offer a loving community that supports us as we navigate through life. 2019, 2020, and 2022 all look and feel different. We continue to adjust and to the changing times, and we know that we are co-creating our life. We choose more love, more beauty, more abundance, and look how it's outpictured in our spiritual home. So we are collecting pledge cards all month and all year, but specifically this month. So you can bring in your pledge card, drop it in the gold box out in Home's Base. You can mail it in, or you can give it to me, give it to myself, or give it to Reverend Karen, and then we will gladly take it and bless you and appreciate you. So I want to remind you that we have part of our program this year is we have these gems in the back of the room. So Reverend Karen created this beautiful bowl up here, and we have a bowl in the back of the room. And then you go back there and you reach in that sand and you pull out a gem from that sand. Okay, and so some people have done it. A lot of people have not. I am the gem police, so I am walking around and asking you if you pulled your gem. And if you have not, I will personally escort you back there to pull your gem. I've had to do it to 3 different people today. But anyway, so we want you to go back there and pull out a gem. And Reverend Karen provided information about what each one of those gems mean. And so I also want you to think about how does that gem, that meaning, because there's no accidents, right? So how's that gem or the meaning of that gem showing up in your life today? So we're asking you to hold that gem with you all month long and know the truth for our community, that we are growing and that we are abundant and our community is seeding our future. So again, our goal this year is to collect 40 pledge cards with the pledge amount of $80,000 or more. So please join us in knowing this truth for our community. So I want to close with a quote from Vincent van Gogh, who saw life through art. And when I read his quote, it reminded me of our community. This is what he said: "Great things are done by a series of small things brought together." And so it is.
I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my life. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
Let us take a deep breath in and know that I am God. Right here and now, in this quiet place within our soul, we know that God is all there is. That infinite divine presence expressing itself in, through, and every fiber of our being. Knowing that right here and now, God is all there is, expressing through each and every one of us. Knowing that the words that are spoken by Karen are words of divine intelligence, which is right here and right now. It's perfect time for each and every one of us to hear and to plant that seed. I know that the love that comes from the voices from the Bradfords are expressing God's love for each and every one of us. Just that we know that without Clyde, we wouldn't have our fun and entertaining start to our service. With each and every one of the individuals here, look to them and know that they are God expressing before you. And know that the word and the music and the space is here to serve you. As the seeds are planted in our minds and our hearts and our soul, we know that it is unfolding in divine and perfect order for each of us. We know this and we love this and we accept this as being done. And with gratitude in our hearts, we express in our own personal way that love that is flowing through us to everyone here. With that gratitude, I release my word into universal law, knowing that right here, right now, it is done, and so it is. Amen. A woman. Sorry. If the gardener holds a seed in his hand and says, "Tomorrow I am going to plant this seed," the garden will never start growing. Therefore, Jesus said, "When ye pray, believe that ye have, and ye shall receive. He did not say, believe, and it will be immediate, and you will immediately have it. He said, ye shall receive. He did not deny the nature law of evolution and growth. Nature operates according to the law of logical sequence. In mental work, we must realize that the one infinite mind, which is consciously directing our destiny, declare every day that no mistakes have been made, none are being made, and none can be made. Declare there is one supreme intelligence which governs, guides, and guards. And so it is.
Feel free to sing along. If you want more love, give love. If you want more joy, give joy. If you want more peace, give peace. If you want more, give. Sing that. If you want more, give. If you want more money, give your money. If you want more time, give up your time. If you want more friends, be a friend. If you want more, give. Sing it. If you want more, give. When you give, you receive. It's as simple as that. There's no effort, no struggle. It's just a simple fact. If you want to see a change, be the change. If you want to have more truth, tell your truth. If you want more gratitude, give thanks. If you want more, give. If you want more, give. If you want more, if you want more, you got to give. If you want more, if you want more, you got to give. If you want more, if you want more, you got to give. If you want more, if you want more, you've got to give.
Yay! No, that was fun. I was just going to say that. Was that just last week?
I miss you guys too.
Rod was out being a dad, taking care of some stuff that teenage boys require, was go-kart racing or something like that. It was like fun. Yeah. But I got to tell you, Rod, we did miss you. It wasn't horrible. Kathy, is used to carrying the whole show before you came. But the weird part was in the opening, the centering song. And you usually start with this really low tone. You sing first. And she did it really high. And man, it was jolting to all of us. I was like, oh, Rod's not here. And it was still beautiful. We did fine without you. We missed you. But yeah, it really shows there's a proper order and sequence to all of life, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. So good morning. Good to see one and all. Happy that you are here, and we are in the middle of our Seeding the Future, our campaign where we take care of business to plan for the details of next year. So thank you, Reverend Clyde, for an exquisite introduction, which means I don't have to repeat all that stuff. I know. Well, I probably will repeat some of it. And I do support Reverend Clyde in nagging you to get your gem, to stick your hand in that sand and to just feel without being able to see what you're pulling. And to pull out a gem and then use that to hold it in your hand and bless this community, and to speak words of blessing in your own life for your own well-being, and for us to just see how that has a ripple effect in so many ways. That's why we start with gratitude. It's such a good, strong place to stand. So yes, we are talking about order and sequence. The title of my message is The Creative Sequence, because it is actually one of the spiritual principles that many great spiritual thinkers have spoken of in days that preceded our lives. For everything there is a season. Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, says for everything there is a season, and it's important to do things in their proper order in terms of the seasons. So, right now in all the snowy regions of the country, people are weatherproofing and covering their patio furniture or storing it somewhere, getting ready for the winter. And we're still using our patio furniture. I'm just going to tell you how happy I was yesterday at a certain point this time of year when the sun in the late afternoon gets to the other side of the patio. I can sit in the swing and it's cool, but the sun is on you and the dog wants to be right there in my lap. And yeah, we do notice the seasons. And so it's not uncommon that a church will plan their stewardship program in the season of fall, because we're sort of weatherproofing our community, our future. We're getting ready for the coming year. And so we do the outer work by focusing for a series of spiritual messages on a group of Sundays, and we do it in the month of November. Some churches do it in October, and we are weatherproofing our what I'm calling our ship or our vessel here, in order for us to be able to do that inner work for the whole rest of next year as we step into 2023. So in the same way, we had to, the minister wanted new carpeting forever, and it's on its way. Right, Reverend Clyde? I haven't had an update. It's on its way, right? Yes, it'll happen soon. Hopefully, very soon I would accept it. And but the minister could not have carpeting in the sanctuary until the Board of Trustees put a new roof on the building, so that it would quit leaking back there and the ceiling would quit falling through in the really wet weather. It was really, me and Cheryl always had our work cut out for us. We'd bring a big trash can in, and there were a couple of places we'd say we don't have to do that anymore. It's such a wonderful world. Yeah. So aligned to that idea that we as a spiritual community, we're looking this month at my favorite theme quote. My ministry theme quote is I want to build a boat. I said to you last week, I want to build a boat. Let's be that vessel. Let's build something. Let's do some planning there, so that individuals just like ourselves can continue to walk through those doors, and we can learn together how to yearn for the sea. We're yearning for that experience of the inner sea, the having a connection with spirit, having communion with God, and touching that very sacred, holy ground, and knowing that there's a power and a presence that's greater than we are, and applying that into the way that we live our life. So we'll be looking more at, especially next week, we're going to be talking about how do we yearn for the sea? What does that look like? And how do we do it? And how do we express it? Because it means different things to different people as we stand in our own individual way of interpreting life. We'll dive a little deeper into that. But for today, I wanted to say that a church or a spiritual center such as ours is really that vessel. That's something that transports us by way of changing our mind. So the message in a spiritual setting, all faith traditions have a way that they do that. It helps us to shift our attitude. We come to church for solace. We come to church for community, and we look for ways in which to have our state of mind transported into a higher place, a higher way of looking out at the world. I see several of you nodding. Yay! We come together to have to sit with others who think somewhat like us, though we never actually think all the same, do we? When we pick up spiritual tools and we get skilled at spiritual practice and applying principles in our day-to-day living, what we see is that essence, then, that vessel that is the way we're going to have a realistic contact with the things that we yearn for in our heart. What we learn is that vessel becomes a way we are brought to more love, to a greater experience of compassion. That shift in our attitude is the way in which we find that deeper interconnection and closeness to something that's greater than we are. And for that reason, I believe that this idea of seeing the ship on the sea of life and talking about the community as a vessel and talking about the building as the container that holds this work that we do and it holds it holy, I think it's such a good metaphor, because that is what churches have done for the history of religion or spiritual traditions, even the indigenous ways in which humankind has looked for opportunities to worship the earth or something that seems more powerful and seems intelligent, that there's this intelligence in the way life works. And so our understanding of spiritual matters can be the very thing that carries us in the currents of life, and that holds us safe as we encounter storms or difficult passages in our life. And certainly we're really aware of all of those truths about what happens in the outer life and how we sustain it from the inner work that we do. So we tend to that inner work very intentionally so that we can live our lives on purpose. I have believed that. I have said that we are a sweet and relevant place to grow. That's how I look at our community. And many years ago, Reverend Clyde was new and enthusiastic and came with so many rich ideas. He was going to change that sign out there in the parking lot. How often? Once a month were you going to do it? And he did. He even figured out he made a device to hold the big heavy plexiglass open while he's trying to get the letters in there. And he'd always come to me. It seemed like he was every time I turned around, he wanted a new quote to put out there. And they have to be short, they can't be too long. And so I said to him one day, I think I want, and I could see he was tiring of the project. And I said, why don't we find something we like and leave it up there for a while? You don't have to change it. And I gave him that we are a sweet and relevant place to grow. And he didn't like that word sweet, I don't think, because it never made it. But his excuse was that there wasn't enough room on the board, and I bought that. But we still have that out there. Have you noticed? It says a relevant place to grow, because that's what we are. You know what else? We are a very relevant place to grow. And, that word became even more important to me when the world started going crazy, 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. We always thought it was crazy. Isn't it funny? We always thought, oh, this crazy world. Now, whoa. Then it got our attention in a much bigger way. You said something else, Reverend Clyde. This morning you said in your little presentation something about that we have not talked about, so I love that you intuited this. You said something about a lighthouse in the West Valley or something. And it's so interesting to me because before I was even hired here, when I would be meditating and praying about the possibility of being a senior minister right here, with new carpeting and a grand piano. I wanted those things. I always would I would intuit in my meditation that we were how did I used to say it? We are a beacon of light in the West Valley. Is that how I said it? I used to say we are a beacon of light in the West Valley. And that's kind of slipped away. We even had a contest to change our logo, and it was and the person that won that contest did some great artwork on a computer of us. As it was really good artwork, but unfortunately we could never get it out of his computer to use it. And I'm sorry we lost that, because it was really beautiful. It was a beacon of light shining on a building that you could tell was our church. It was really quite lovely and very personal. So we have that. Those are ways in which we know who and what we are, right? We want to be a relevant place to grow. We want to be a beacon of light in the West Valley, and we want to stand on this beautiful truth about being big for God by being blessed and inspired and grateful for all that is. And when we know those things, now our spiritual community has a soul. There's a soul to our community. And other people can walk through those doors and see and recognize who we are and how and what we do and how we do it. And I love in that way that we see that our vessel, this as a community as well as a building on Peoria Avenue. I have to say the whole address to get it out properly. But sitting here on this property, we are housing something so much more. It is a philosophy, it is a teaching that helps us to build character, that helps us in the transformational possibilities to help us alter our lives and to heal what ails us and to expand our consciousness into greater proportions so that greater and greater things are possible for each and every one of us, and as well as anyone who walks through the doors. So I love that. I mentioned last week that our theme for 2023, I'm looking at some artwork because we're going to start creating the Sunday program again, but we're not going to ever change it. We're going to make a universal program because we're kind of doing it already with the announcement page. Some of you like to read the announcements or take it home with you. And so I'm looking at some artwork now, some clip art, just something simple. To go along with the theme for our community for this upcoming year is let's be remarkable. And I love that theme, and I'll talk more about that. That's sort of what we're going to focus on next week. But let's be remarkable is a powerful thought for me, because I've been looking at how remarkable our leadership team and all of you, as in the way that we have come together in the last 2.5 years, how remarkable we have been and continue to be. And I say that with a lot of respect for the fact that we could not have done the things we've done if it wasn't for the commitment from each and every one of you in the way that you do that individually, uniquely yours, in the way that you are the rarest gem in your life, and what you bring nobody else can bring here. So we're grateful for that. And I really appreciate looking at the positive changes that all of us have gone through. And I just want to remind you that those are the things that build character in us as individuals, as well as us as a community. So we will continue to be doing remarkable things so that we are a part of the positive change that unfolds in the world in 2023 and thereafter. The theme today, this idea of the creative sequence, is an important part of our spiritual philosophy, in that there's an underlying truth that every spiritual tradition has its own way of standing in faith for what they believe. It's kind of what makes it spiritual, right? So you can't always see it, but you can sense spiritual matters and create a space in your own life to grow and deepen spiritually. So one of the things we say in this philosophy is there's always something perfect or something complete. I love the word whole, W-H-O-L-E. There's a wholeness about life, and that wholeness is always trying to reveal itself to us. And the more that we talk about it, the more that we start pondering it, the more we look for it and expect it, we begin to get little glimpses of it. Now, we can't stay there all the time. You know, it's not like you're going to find bliss or enlightenment and then you're going to live happily ever after, whatever that would be. I don't know. I find some of the excitement in life is I like the passion sometimes. And don't we like to solve problems? Don't you like being on the other side of a predicament and to see that you were able to put things together? I don't know. There's something satisfying about all of that. But there's this wholeness. There's a theory that we stand on that says that wholeness, that perfection is always trying to reveal itself. That's why we say things like illness brings information. And I would just remind you that there's a difference between healing and curing ourselves. You know, and when we begin to see that healing is always about a deeper experience of wholeness, then sometimes that helps us make sense out of the things that kind of don't often make sense. But there's a sequence, an order in which things happen. A few weeks back, I talked about the words written by Thomas Troward, the British judge, who really understood metaphysics and wrote some amazing, powerful work. A little hard to understand. Boy, could that guy do run-on sentences. Woo! He's like those. A paragraph could have a single sentence in it. Woo! He is like a tricky read. He is for some people, for some of us. But Troward said, he's the one who most specifically said, there's a divine order and sequence to all of life, and you can't do things out of order. They work out better when you do them in order. And so the first part of the sequence is life. It's life and love and light and then power. And so remember that life is just your living. The life is your everydayness. And the more you are aware of the presence and the power in your everyday activities, the more you then begin to just show up from a more loving place. There's something that happens when we have these encounters with sort of bumping into God out there in our experiences and in life or in witnessing nature. Whoa, this sunset was pretty the other night. And you just know that something washes over you and it just feels so good. And so in that place, in that moment, in that, just glimpse of something greater than we are a part of that wholeness. And in those moments, then nothing is out of order in our life. So I live my life, I bump into something that makes me aware of God. That creates what Troward called light, what many great thinkers, spiritual thinkers say light. Light is that way we can now see with a vision that is a sort of a wisdom vision. And I like that term, that we can actually see then what I refer to as the wisdom pattern. There's a pattern, a sequence in life that we can recognize. Things start to make a little more sense to us. And then from that light, we then step into what Troward said is the full power and the presence of God. Now, the difference is that we realize that it's not that I've become more powerful because of that process. It's that I am really clear that there's a power that's greater than I am. And so now nothing feels too big to me. Nothing can feel out of order to me in those moments of great clarity. And then Troward ends by saying, and then when you've done that, you've progressed through that, then you experience peace and beauty and joy. Peace, beauty, and joy are the last three he throws on there. Holmes also speaks to that same creative sequence, that same process of order. And he writes about it typically in that same way that Reverend Clyde used this morning. It's the seed soil plant. It's the way we tell the story of the creative process based on the symbol that Dr. Holmes created for us to use as a teaching tool, and it's a good one. And Holmes adds this. Now, if you read his work closely, I loved the reading you chose, Reverend Susan. It was a really, not only timely, but I love hearing somebody else read me things that I'm sort of already familiar with. But isn't it funny how it'll wash over you in a different way when you hear somebody else read it? Holmes would talk about the planting the seed in the spiritual soil, right? So we have an idea and we put it in the spiritual, the creative medium that he calls the soil. And then this is where Holmes says it a little different. We confirm the result in our own consciousness. In other words, I'm planting a carrot seed, and I'm going to be thinking that in my mind, I'm going to visualize, because I'm planting carrot seeds, I'm going to be thinking about those carrots growing in the earth, and that I can pull them up, and that I can eat them fresh out of the garden. And there's something really real about that, something very genuine about knowing if you plant a carrot seed, you're not going to grow tomatoes, right? So you can throw seeds out in every direction willy-nilly, and then stuff will come up, and those are the weeds in our life. But the more intentional we are in what we plant, the more conscious, he says, the more conviction we have. And what he's talking about is conviction in the result. You plant a carrot, you know you get to eat a carrot later down the road. And then he says that we should feel satisfied. Once we've done that, we should feel satisfied. We should feel joyful, knowing that we have done our part in the creative sequence. Right? So here's his actual words. Holmes says, when we feel that rich and happy satisfaction, when we know that we have consciously chosen and planted, and then when we stand back in joyous expectation, knowing that it is God that brings forth the crop, I can have joyous expectation because I don't do the work. I might have to pull some weeds. I had to get the ground ready. I had to be conscious what I was planting. But now there's an intelligence in life that does the work. It's like, it's so mind-boggling to me that you could put a seed in the dark and it knows what to do. That there's just this brilliance in it. He says, so knowing that it's God that brings forth the crop, when you do all of that, then you have successfully unified faith and works. Now, I'm an old Bible fundamentalist. I used to love the book of James. That book of James is hidden way back there just before Revelation. And there's that one passage that always turned me on in the book of James. It terrifies some people, but I loved it because I'm a doer, right? It says, faith without works is dead. Right? See, look at how many people know that. Yes, we know this. Faith without works is dead. Well, now that shouldn't make you feel guilty. See, that just excites me that there's work that I can do toward my own well-being. So I'm going to plant the seed. I'm going to affirm that I'm going to grow the crop that I desire to grow. And I'm going to know that I have unified both my faith and the work that I do in the same direction, and that results are going to happen. That's what we want. That's how we want to yearn for the sea, and know that between our faith and the choices we make in what we do come together to make something. And then Holmes ends it with this comment. The fundamental thing to remember. I love it when he talks that way. The fundamental thing to remember is that this is a spiritual process of making yourself fully receptive. Are you ready to receive, right? There's that line again. Are you ready to receive? And we say, yes, I wouldn't be doing all this work if I didn't want my life to change. And yet, the readiness has to do with the way we shape ourselves in what we can take in. And the spiritual path is the way we are shaping our consciousness so that we can take in make our life look the way we want our life to look. So we want to see the firm results in our own mind, and that's what the stewardship program is about. That's why we have this annual month of November dedicated to seeding our future, because we know this stuff works. Again and again, we do these exercises with the leadership teams. You know, why? What's our why? Simon Sinek on TED Talk, best TED Talk ever. Simon Sinek, so like, know your why. What is your why? And our why is because this stuff works. And so we are a relevant place to grow. So if I watch all of this unfold in nature, you know, carrots growing in the garden, or the way the sun now is in a different part of my patio, and I'm grateful to have a little sun in the winter on the afternoon on the patio. As I pay attention to all of that, what I'm really doing is I'm using practical wisdom, the logical sequence and order that we see out there, that we witness and then experience in our life, but I'm attributing those qualities to God, to something that's greater than I am, and I can not only see the presence of God through the wisdom patterns that are there, but now I can feel a sense of oneness with all that God is. That, my friends, is holistic spirituality. That's a great term. You know, we're interested in mind-body connection. We're interested in holistic medicine and all kinds of things. Well, there's a whopper for us. That's the way we can look at our teaching. So we study the universe to learn more about our place in the universe. We study this idea of spiritual matters so that we can find our place in relationship to the divine and to all the divine ideas in life. We find it where we want to find that. We want to unify the faith and the works and the movement of our own life. So we live our life day by day, as Trord would say. We bump into love occasionally, and that love then lights up our life, because love is the impulse from, it's the purest form of God that there is. And so we allow that to be the light that shows us the wisdom, which then empowers our understanding of, like, no, it's not that I'm so powerful. It's that when I am one with God, there is nothing that can no problem, no conflict, no nothing. When I am one with God, nothing can limit the good that I desire to experience in my life. It's kind of funny that we spend, most of us here are of a certain age or older. We spend most of our lives trying to reconcile some really difficult concepts, you know, like, why do bad things happen to good people? Why didn't my son be the best racer out there? Was he the best racer?
Well,
Oh. Sounds like a start.
opinion, yes.
You know, so we have these perplexing encounters with life, like, you know, like, why are things so uncertain in the world? You know, couldn't we have a little more clarity, for God's sake? You know, and then there's this one that it tells us, behaviorists tell us, that I didn't know this was unique. I just thought it was about me, you know, but that we feel like we're different than everybody else. that there's nobody quite like us out there. It's hard to find your people, to know who you. And I always feel like I'm a little odd. I don't think like most people, and it turns out none of us do. And that almost all of us feel like we don't fit in. All of us have had moments of feeling misunderstood. All of us have probably said that dreadful sentence like, "Oh, no, you don't understand. What I was really trying to say was," we just can't help it. We do that. Those are ways that we show up. And the reality is that at some point, we get wise enough, we accumulate enough experiences, or we go to the right church and we get everything all figured out for an instant. And then we, let me know where that is when you find it. And we realize who we really are. And what we find out is who we really are is actually defined not by our differences, but by, or how unique we are. Who we really are is defined by what we have in common with all living things. We all come back to the same thing, and then we lose it. We got it. We feel so enlightened, and then we forget, and we get busy in life again. And so there's nothing wrong with any of that. The truth is, I just got my I just got my brand new Mark Nepo book. Oh, I'm so excited. And I open this, and he's my favorite. Oh, I love Mark Nepo. And I open the book, and now when I read, especially when I'm reading nonfiction, spiritual stuff, I like to make notes in the blank of the cupboard. Keep this in mind, you're an author. Don't put a bunch of crap in the front of the book. Some of us like to make notes while we're reading and put the page number where we found it so it'll be easy to look it up again later. Sometimes I can remember, I can see my own handwriting, So anyhow, Mark Nepo wrote all over the cover of this book, and I went, I opened the book. It's like, why would he do that? He doesn't usually do this. Why would he do this? But then I read what he wrote on the inside cover of the book, and the book is called something about surviving through hard times, or some my cup of tea. I love stuff like that. But here's what he wrote. When things break down, or when they don't go as planned, when things break down or they don't go as planned, there are 3 archetypal questions we can ask ourselves in those moments. This could be life-changing. This is such an amazing, these are really 3, this is a good quote. Just say it. I know, right? I'm right there with you, sister. So there are 3 archetypal questions we can ask ourselves, and that means sort of primal. These are questions humanity has asked forever, as long as there's been such a thing as humanity. And the number 1 question is, something goes wrong, and you look at the mess in your life, or you look at the mess in the world, and you ask the first question, what here needs to be repaired? But the second question is the real good one. Now, what here needs to be reimagined? See, we're in that liminal space right now. We are reimagining right now what the future of the world will look like. We are all planting seeds of possibility right now. Even as you sit here listening to these words, we are planting those seeds. And number 3 is the question that shakes everybody up, and it's totally missing from any kind of Western spirituality, which would be all of us. The third question is, what here needs to be left dismantled? What are we willing to release? Think of it like that one favorite garment in your closet that you wear all the time, and you just can't keep patching it. You just can't keep throwing it in the washer and think it's going to hold up, right? Right? Sometimes we have to let go of stuff. And so when things break apart, I have been saying this for long before I met any of you. I have been saying, I love to quote Swedenborg, when things fall apart, then God can come and rearrange things in a better order. See, that's what nature does. Sequence and order. Always. Something's out of place. The universe knows how to put it back in place so that life will continue. And if life continues, we can bump into love. If we bump into love, we'll bump into light. We'll have this wisdom. We'll get empowered. And then we can have peace and joy and the things in our life that we think are the things we desire. But we have to have it in the sequence. So as I examine this idea of sequence in relationship to that longing for the sea, as I look at it from a higher perspective, then I can see that those things that we long for, the way that we are hungry for peace, not only in our lives, but in the world, the way in which we just crave freedom. You know, we want to break out of the limitations that we think we see, with the appearances of limitations in our life. We crave that freedom. We want things to calm down, and we want to feel safe in the world and in our homes again. And so my job is, I'm so grateful you're here, and I'm so grateful you're listening online, because my job is to tell you right now that those things you crave and you hunger for are normal. We should want those things. They are natural instincts within us. And the only thing we do wrong is that we miss the normalcy of those cravings. And we instead look out on the world, and because we feel threatened by what we see in the world, we try and fix things that look broken, or we are always coming from a place of fear rather than that place of love that is the only true place of inspiration and empowerment. Amen. It's fear or it's love. So when I look at the world and I start getting angry at this didn't happen right, or this should go in that direction, and I'm starting to throw out my own biases around what I think should happen next, and boy, we've had a week like that. I'm just knowing that all of us have had a week like that. I, for one, am so grateful they took down those big signs at the end of the boulevard. I want to get out on Olive, and I can't look at the traffic because of all of the signs on the corner that for who I should vote for, you know, all the political stuff. And it's all gone now. I'm so happy. I feel safer already because I can see whether traffic's coming or not. We just want to be sure what's motivating us. See, if I'm only motivated to be good because I'm afraid of the consequence, that's not being motivated by love. So it's a tiny tweak. It's a tiny shift in just perception, but it is a powerful and extremely freeing place to be. So it's natural for us to yearn for those things. Do not make it abnormal, and do not punish yourself or other people because it doesn't look the way it should be. Come back to love. Just keep coming back to love. They say, you know how they say, the pain will push us. The pain will push you until the love begins to pull you. And that's the place we want to posture ourselves. So church should be that place where we can take a breath, right? I was thinking, as I was writing this, I was thinking, you know, I think that's what makes me sad about some of the people that I love, all of you watching online, and I love that we have a quality way to offer that, and we will never not do that now, right? That will always be an option. And I also want to tell you that I almost never meet someone new who walks through those doors. When I sit down with them, they almost always tell me that they saw us online before they came through the doors. Right? They have been stalking us online, or that they've watched a Sunday service, and just like last week or the week before, some lady told me which talk she watched, and we talked about it. Right? So there's something, the world is different now, so we need that. But I want to say to you that it dawned on me while I was writing this material that if you're watching remotely, you're not sitting in this sanctuary and you don't feel it the way we feel it. There's something that happens when you walk in the room and you know I mean, you know, at home too, you can put yourself here mentally, but you know that in the pores of these walls are thousands, possibly millions of prayers. That this place has been prayed up for a very long time by a lot of different people, and a lot of different occasions have been celebrated here. And so there's something that happens when you step into this space. So here's what I want to say to you if you watch at home, that what if you made your space where you watch sacred? What if you name the place where you're, whether it's your bedroom or your living room or, God forbid, the bathroom? What if you just named it your temple, and that you're having worship, and that you are consecrating that space in a very intentional and sacred way? In that way, if we would do that, imagine how much more we're going to feel a sense of community too. If you're not here, you're going to be able to still feel that sense of community because you're naming it now. Now the intention is upscaled some. But now the purpose that we come to church can be yours no matter where you are in an even more fuller experience. So we can calm ourselves down, right? We come to church, we take an hour out of our week, okay, an hour 15. We take an hour out of our day and we sit here and breathe. We can breathe, we can laugh together, we can cry together, we pray together, we do the sacred, the way that we worship in this particular faith. We come together so that we can cast out our demons. You're not alone with the thoughts in your head anymore. We come together so that we can heal what ails us, and we come together so that we come to church so that our sins can be forgiven. You have all kinds of reasons why church serves you. So do I. Right? And that's what we want. That's what that's the purpose of us coming together. So I want us to have an intention. I want it to be remarkable no matter where you are when you're taking part in this service. And I want you to have that full experience. Just know, when you guys are up there on that mountain, just know that, man, that's a part of the whole package, right? It's like that cannot be diminished if you set it as your intention. We are the faces and the hearts and the hands and the presence of kindness and love, and we're here to change the world, and we're willing to do our work, to change our own inner work, to change our own lives. And there's a natural pattern and sequence in which that all unfolds in the way in which we participate in our own life. We're talking about doing it from the inside to the outside in the same way our stewardship program serves to preserve us for another year. So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for knowing we're a beacon of light in the West Valley. I'm grateful to know that we can come together and that we have potluck today. Grateful for food. I'm going to close today with a very interesting quote I found from Richard Rohr, who is I can never remember, Jesuit or Franciscan. I think he's a Franciscan. Jesuit? Okay, that's all I need, with some authority. I'm calling it. Father Richard Rohr said these words. Stay with the whole quote. It's going to throw you off in the first few words. We don't think our way into a new way of living, but we live our way into a new way of thinking. That's the sequence and the order. That's what I wanted to say today. Oh, just take a breath. Take a holy, holy breath. How wonderful it is to sit in this sanctuary and to smell the amazing food that's being prepared for us to share together. knowing that that food has been prepared in love. And that because we are alive in this thing called life, we know that we are indeed led by love. So I feel the love of God in this very room. And I know that that love is the presence of God. It is the infinite intelligence of all the universe, the very impulse of all creation. And therefore, right where we are, each and every one of us as an individual, right where we are, love is. That essence of love within is the activity of life. It is the movement and the current of life in a very specific order and sequence. It is the truth of all of life. It is at the core of all experience. And it is perfect. It is whole. And this is indeed a moment of understanding holistic spirituality, the allness of life. And so as we sit together, no matter our geographical location, as we sit together, we have created sacred space. And where two or more gather, especially when it is for the purpose of goodness, where two or more gather, there is an expansion of that goodness. There is an expansion of that love. There is this movement of life that is productive, that unifies faith and works, that brings us clarity so that we can know and see and understand and fully recognize with real eyes that the presence of God is always right where we are. That the movement of life is always in perfect order, in harmony, each thing with the next thing. That this glorious universe that sustains us so perfectly moves in a sequence that we may not be able to see or to even intellectualize, and yet we can be certain that everything is moving on purpose and in God's time. So wherever there is any experience, any appearance of limitation in any way, I simply know that there is the fullness of life supporting us to rise above the appearance or the limitation, to see the bigger picture, to recognize that this is the way we are big for God, that we can rise and above the law of averages and see that we are a part of that great harmonious nature of life. And therefore, our relationships are washed clean. We are able to welcome forgiveness in many layers and levels. We don't have to understand, but we understand and recognize that we can do the work that needs to be done to us at the same time as we recognize a way to let go that anything that is not functioning at that high and holy level that we desire. And in that space, we can reimagine our lives on this planet. We can reimagine the work of this spiritual community. We can reimagine the way in which we might bring our rarest gem, our gift, to this spiritual house of worship so that we can do good work in this upcoming year, that we can make an impact on the community around us, that we can help to transform lives, and that we can do our own inner work so that we know we are always held sweetly in the hands of God. For indeed, we are a sweet and relevant place to grow. And so I bless this community. I bless this work ahead of us. I bless the way our faith has been enriched this day, and the way in which it heals that which seems to ail us and this beautiful planet. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite spirit, for this and for so much more. and for all that is yet to come. I release these words into the law, knowing it is absolutely fulfilled and done. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Bradford. All right, just for the record about the sign out there. I did not grow tired. I grew smarter. I accumulated enough experiences. Just imagine being out there on July the 5th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't think I need to say any more. All right, so now is the time to celebrate the abundance of our lives and the abundance of our community. I want to remind you that we have tithing boxes on the way into the fellowship hall where the wonderful food is, in the back of the room, and then also in the bookstore. So you can just fill out your pledge card, drop in the envelope, and just fill out or drop off your pledge in the envelope and drop it in the block box for us. That'd be fantastic. We don't pass around the offering plates. We have those beautiful boxes in place. All right, so let's say our joyous giving affirmation together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Please rise for our last song. To be alive.
All right. So I just want to remind you again, please go to the back of the room, either before or after service, and get your gym, because your gym matters. All right, so if we can say, repeat after me, our closing affirmation. Life is unfolding in divine sequence. And my life is perfect right now. And so it is.